If you're looking for a new job, American Express might be the one for you. Republican Senator Mark Kirk is actually sitting in hot water this election. Kirk made some remarks regarding Democratic candidate Tammy Duckworth's family heritage. First off, let's discuss the woman who has been causing a frenzy on the internet ever since she first appeared. Yes, I am talking about the one and only Kim Kardashian. But words of advice for everyone: bring out the big coats and button up because it's going to be kind of cold for the Thanksgiving holiday. As you can see right now, it's going to be a high of 44 today, cloudy all day with winds blowing at 11 miles per hour. Since Election Day, a series of anti-Trump protests have flooded city streets. From minorities to the LGBTQ community, many who are affected by the presidential election came out in masses. And it didn't just happen here in Chicago, but all around the country. Here's a look at what happened in Chicago. This is the first of 4 days of a peaceful protest that took place downtown Chicago around Trump Tower. Hundreds of Chicagoans gathered together after hearing the results of the presidential election. Many were displeased with the new leader of the country.
As a believer, as a Christian, it makes me angry. I'm appalled, and I'm in disbelief.
We can't overlook the ideas that he presents to some of his viewers and some of his supporters, because not all of them agree with the bigotry, but we have to show those who do that it's not okay.
Police stood guard around Trump Tower after this social group was created on Facebook. Chicago PD didn't let anyone in or around Trump Tower but residents in the building. They blocked the entire bridge that led to Trump Tower.
I'll see you later.
I have been pushed tonight! I have been pushed! I have been grabbed! And I have been thrown off that bridge!
This still did not stop protesters from making their voice being heard.
A freshman girl in my high school was harassed on her way to school in the morning for being a Latina today.
I think that this is a really monumental moment in history. I think that if you look back in the 60s and 70s at the protests, it doesn't look very different than this. I think that we are just trying to make our voice heard as a generation.
Protesters had their final march around the gates of Trump Tower last Saturday. Herb Kent was the cool guy on the block that everyone knew in Chicago. It was a shock to many when he passed away Saturday morning, hours after the show. This is how Chicago will remember the King of Dusties.
To v103.com, go to Herb Kent, and you can vote there. You can go to Facebook, and you can go to Twitter.
Everyone knew Herb Kent's warm and deep voice when you heard him across the airwaves on B103 for over 27 years. Kent will be remembered as the world's longest radio DJ in history and a legend in Chicago. He spent 70 years on air, leaving a legacy to listeners and encouraging future DJs such as Kasera Heining at Columbia College Chicago.
He taught me to always be true to myself. I feel like every time you heard Herb on the radio, it was truly him. It was genuine. It wasn't anything fake. It wasn't a different persona. That was him. You got raw Herb Kent.
He's a legend, I think, in Chicago, and he will really be missed. I really miss him already. He was just part of the black radio station, I have to say.
One of the many things Chicago will remember and always love about Kent is his battles he hosts on B103.
And it's time for the Battle of the Best, and the bad guy, of course, today will be Uncle Realist. Boo.
Chicagoan Hermine Hartman had the opportunity to go head-to-head with Kent and reminisces for the fun times they shared together.
The Battle of the Bands was fun because he cheated. I did that. I did Battle of the Bands all the time, and I always won, but Herb always cheated.
Chicago iHeart Region President Matt Scarano released a statement saying, "We are so thankful for the privilege of working alongside such a historic figure as Herb Kent for the past 27 years. Our thoughts and prayers are with Herb's family, friends, and loved ones."
Who is the best looking?
Are you really? Is he really?
No confirmation when the funeral will be held or who will be filling in Herb's spot permanently on the show. And truth be told, Josh and Gloria, I don't think no one will be able to fill in such big shoes as Herb Kent. Yeah. Next up, Batman vs. Superman dominated the box office, stacking up more than $200 million in just 6 days, which makes it the 11th highest grossing movie of all time. Talk about tag team the box office. Okay, but I want to talk about you.
Okay.
You was just on Chasing Destiny, and you got to work with D. Kelly Rowland, who was a part of the legendary girl group Destiny's Child. So, what was your experience like just overall? So, how did you make a transition from from gospel to like fusing all of this together? Because being a preacher's kid, one would think that you would just still do straight up gospel music, traditional and contemporary, but you've incorporated so many other styles into this music.
Yeah.
Okay. So on the show, the first episode already aired. On there, you said it was hard for you to get there. You slept in the airport. It was hard for you to come up with the money, but you made it there. So how did you end up coming up with the money? Because you never really talked about that in the show.
Yeah, it was definitely hard coming up with the money. I actually, I want to cry. I actually donated some of my blood.
Your song, Raise Hell, I love it. I love the concept of it. How did you come about, like what exactly does that song mean in your work? In other news, do you remember little Ashley from the hit sitcom Fresh Prince of Bel-Air? Well, she isn't so little anymore. Tatiana Ali is planning to tie the knot with Dr. Von Raspberry this summer. Plus, he became an internet sensation during the last presidential debate. Now we are learning more about the man in the red sweater, but find out what people are talking about coming up next. Ken Bone, who many remember from his bright red sweater during the second presidential debate, became America's hero. Well, let's just say people are now leaving the Ken Bone zone. Bone's history is coming to light, specifically his comments on Reddit. He talked about Jennifer Lawrence's hacked nude photos and legally justified the killing of Trayvon Martin. Another closer on the Cubs' watch list has signed a deal, but first, Newsbeat's Ibrahim Samra joins us to tell us what's up with the Bears and the Bulls. Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump says the polls are rigged and the election will be too. Trump says voter fraud is already happening for early voters on a large scale. The credit card company announces a new program that allows both mothers and fathers to take 20 weeks of paid parental leave. Nominations for the 74th Golden Globes are in. Here's a look at which film is in the front line for taking the most gold home. So with that wind blowing in your face, it's going to feel twice as colder, so make sure you have your hat, your gloves, your scarves, hand warmers, everything to make you stay warm. But we're not the only ones in the Midwest enduring this cold weather. As you can see right here in the area, there's going to be 33 in Gary, 35 in Midway. It's just cold all around. So be sure to button up because I think the winter is almost here. Tonight is going to be a low of 38 with possible rain showers and with winds at 13 miles per hour. So have those umbrellas on standby and make sure you're not going to be sliding on any black ice. Here's your